Our first guest offers an economical and carbon-neutral heat solution process for heavy industries, thereby surpassing traditional fossil fuel-based methods. May I ask you for an encouraging, supporting applause for Wei Wu, the CEO of Heatrix.
Have you ever thought about burning a brick with a hairdryer? No? Me neither. And now you're probably asking yourself, why should anybody do that? Let me introduce you to Jacobi Dachziegel, a family-owned German brick manufacturer with almost 200 years of history. This is now the 5th and 6th generation, but the existence of their company is under threat due to volatile energy markets and the rising costs of fossil fuels and CO2 emissions. Because burning bricks needs a lot of high temperature heat, up to 1200 degrees C. And right now, the only way to do that is to burn fossil fuels. So, to stay competitive for the next 200 years, they need to find alternatives. Meanwhile, the cost for renewable electricity has fallen up to 88%. Why not use renewable electricity instead? Because they need heat. So we need to find something that transforms electricity into heat. Something like a hairdryer, perhaps? Well, that's exactly what we did. We've built a highly efficient electrical air heater that transforms renewable electricity into high-temperature process heat in form of hot air. Similar to the heating coils inside this hairdryer, we have ceramic heating elements where electricity runs through, causing it to get really hot. And to increase the efficiency, we combine those elements with ceramic foam boards, et voila, our unique patented heater that can heat up air up to 1500 degrees C. And the best part is, our heater works in a closed-loop system. That means we can reuse waste heat, reducing the primary demand of those customers, and that leads to energy cost savings of over 40% without green premium. Transforming electricity into heat is not new. There are other startups and companies who've been doing that, but they mainly focus on large-scale plants like cement and steel. We are different because our unique heater is specifically designed for the purpose of small-scale applications, of small to medium enterprises like our brick manufacturer. Because as you can see, this is a typical brick furnace. There are a lot of burners placed next to each other along the wall. So it's not possible to really fit a large container here. But with our super dense heater that has similar dimensions as those gas burners, we can replace them one by one in a gradual way. We are currently working on first pilots with the mentioned brick manufacturer and other partners. We're currently looking for investors to back our mission and pilot partners from the industry to actually join forces and save the world with a hairdryer.
Yeah, don't forget your argument.
Yes.
Thank you very much. That was brilliant. So, the company of our next guest you have questions? No, you have, right? You want to raise your hand? We'll come to that. The company of our next guest provides a scalable e-methane solution for decarbonizing industries, harnessing the power of green hydrogen and biogenic CO2. Please join me in a big round of applause for Benedikt Stolz, who is the COO of Turn2X. Benedikt, the floor is yours.
The climate crisis will be decided in the aisles of a supermarket, one sausage class at a time. If we think about clean energy, we see solar panels or wind turbines. But the hard truth is, even in the most ambitious net zero scenarios, half of our energy will have to come from molecules. Molecules that move ships, molecules that power high energy intensive industries, and molecules that store energy for when the wind doesn't blow. And if these molecules stay fossil, we fail the transition. That's why, for the first time in history, demand for these clean molecules is not optional. The European Union has written it into law. Sharp prices, quotas rising with heavy penalties for non-compliance. But honestly, and we heard it before, this is not only about regulation, it is about sovereignty. Europe has learned what it means to depend on energy from countries where political alliance can change overnight. Clean molecules produced in Europe mean resilience, stability, and independence. And that's why we have to act now. We cannot wait for technologies that are still in development or require infrastructure that needs to be built. Europe needs clean molecules today. And that is what Turn2X delivers. We take renewable electricity, water, and biogenic CO2 and turn it into e-methane, a carbon-free molecule that flows through existing pipelines, moves ships, and powers high-energy industries without changing a thing in the system we already have. At the heart is our Honeycomb reactor. Modular, fast to permit, simple to finance. A modular unit replicated again and again across Europe. And this is not a vision for 2040. It is real today. Turn2X has built the world's first e-methane plant in Spain, injecting green molecules into the grid. We transport it from Spain, via France, to Germany, to our customers. And they make products out of that you can buy in the supermarket already. And for clarity, it's the glass, not the sausage. So Turn2X delivers what Europe requires. Clean molecules produced in Europe, securing Europe's energy sovereignty. So to every investor, every industrial leader, and every policymaker here today, if you want to secure Europe's energy future, if you want to have clean molecules that work today, not in 2040, Turn2X is your partner, one sausage class at a time.
Thank you. Somebody must have told these people that the argument becomes more convincing once you bring some decoration on stage. So I'm curious what's going to be. No, I think you don't have an item, but somebody will have an item, and I know who. The name of our next guest, ladies and gentlemen, is Lisa Langer, who serves as CFO of Ionisys. What does Ionisys? Well, the company provides PFAS-free, catalyst-coated membranes for enhanced performance and sustainability in electrochemical applications. I'm very happy that Lisa is now going to join us on stage in order to explain to us and to me what I've just said. Thank you very much. Welcome.
Kazimir Malevich's black squares are the most iconic and most debated works of modern art. Hanging in the world's top museum, still making people ask, what is art? Now, something that Malevich truly mastered, and my challenge for the next 3 minutes, is getting people excited about black squares. Or more precisely, getting you excited about the art we make at Ionisys. We make black squares in various sizes. They might look pretty plain, a plastic foil with black coating on both sides. But it's not just any foil. It's a cutting-edge membrane coated with highly engineered inks made from catalysts like platinum and iridium. It's called a catalyst-coated membrane, a CCM. That pure description might not excite you yet. But those CCMs, they convert electrons to molecules and vice versa. They sit at the heart of various climate technologies such as electrolyzers, fuel cells, Power-to-X, and direct air capture systems. So if you believe that these technologies are key to a net zero future, you should be excited about CCMs, because they are the performance-defining piece inside all of them. Still not excited? Okay, here's another reason. As you can see here on the right-hand side, like when we zoom in on a CCM, we see by the green signal that the current market standard contains fluorine or PFAS. PFAS are forever chemicals. They don't break down, they accumulate in the environment, and they are harmful to human health. At Ionisys, we replace PFAS with novel hydrocarbon polymers, as you can see by the absence of the green signal. And our technology enables that we scale climate technology without adding to PFAS pollution. Now you might think, okay, sounds sustainable, but what about performance? And the answer is, it's better. Our CCMs are a game changer. They offer superior performance, they enable entirely new electrochemical applications, and they do all of it without a green premium. So, are you excited now? If not, like any artist, like Malevich in his lifetime, I have to accept that art is subjective. But one last thought. Before you despair about the fact that an original Malevich is hard to get, or 85 million out of reach for most people in this room, maybe consider supporting Ionisys instead. We master black squares just as well as Malevich did, and the impact we create today is far more tangible. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lisa Lange. Now on to the next pitch, ladies and gentlemen. I'm now calling up on stage a gentleman. Where is he? There he is. A gentleman whose company develops a chemical recycling process to convert plastic waste. They convert it into valuable, into eco-friendly chemicals, fostering a sort of a circular economy. The company's name is Radical Dot, and its co-founder's name is Andreas Wagner. Floor is yours.
Over 90% of our plastic waste globally is not being recycled. It's either burned, buried, or creates havoc in our environment. At the same time, there's a huge demand for sustainable and cost-competitive chemical building blocks in the chemical and plastics industry. Now, there are technologies that can convert plastic waste into those chemical building blocks, solving both of these challenges. But unfortunately, it's not that easy. Many projects and companies are failing to deliver on the society-scale challenge. And that's because cost competitiveness is non-negotiable in the chemical industry. If you're not cost competitive, your solution will be dismissed. So what are we doing differently at Radical Dot? Imagine you're putting a piece of plastic out in nature for thousands of years. Due to the impact of UV light and oxygen, it will slowly decay. You've all seen the start of this, a piece of plastic turning brittle or decoloring. Give it a couple of thousand years, and it will decompose. At Radical Dot, we are utilizing chemistry to mimic this exact process and perform accelerated aging of plastics with air. In our reactors, it doesn't take thousands of years. It takes less than an hour. We convert low-cost mixed plastic waste into so-called carboxylic acids. One of them, for example, being acetic acid, the stuff you know from your vinegar. A huge chemical intermediate market worth more than $20 billion US, turning into high-value end products, all the way from apparel to adhesives and things like cable insulation. Now, why is this any different? Let's look at the current situation. Existing recycling technologies often require expensive sorting to get pure streams of plastic waste. And they have high costs of energy, high use of energy, that will ultimately lead to a green premium versus fossil-produced chemicals and plastics. At Radical Dot, we aim to do things slightly differently. Our technology is capable of using low-cost mixed plastic waste. And because we're oxidizing plastic to carboxylic acids, we release heat in that process, so we need minimum external energy input. That allows us to create a healthy margin and a sustainable chemical recycling business. But beyond that, we're also building the foundation of a sustainable European chemical industry utilizing local plastic waste and getting rid of the dependence of fossil fuel sources. Now, if you're connected to the chemicals and plastics industry, please come talk to me afterwards. We're not currently fundraising, but if you're an investor and interested in our 2026 seed round, also please come afterwards and talk to me. And just to make it easier to remember my face following all these great pitches, just look out for the guy that looks somewhat like the lost cousin of Ed Sheeran and Prince Harry. So thanks so much for your attention. Thank you.
Thank you, Prince Harry. That was very interesting. Glad that you could make it to Europe. We're almost through, ladies and gentlemen. Almost, because one company is still missing. It's Nitrovolt and its CEO, Suzanne Samani Anderson. So let me share you some information about the company she's representing here. Nitrovolt introduces a local, sustainable, cost-effective ammonia synthesis solution. This transformation of the ammonia production is especially important for the agricultural and for the biotech sectors. Welcome on stage, Suzanne Samani Anderson.
120 years ago, the world stood in front of its greatest challenge yet. We were running out of food. As nations stood in deadly peril of not having enough to eat, mouths were multiplying, but food resources were dwindling. We used to source our fertilizer from just a few islands off the coast of South America where birds would poop, which is sustainable. We would mine this poop and then ship it halfway across the world to spread on our fields. But the poop was running out. This was the problem. And it was known that it was through the laboratory that starvation could ultimately be turned into plenty. Now, just 10 years after this quote, here in Germany, Fritz Haber had a breakthrough. He managed to make ammonia, a nitrogenous fertilizer, in his lab at very high temperatures and very high pressures. Carl Bosch then took this discovery in just a couple of years and scaled it to a mega facility. And suddenly, we had commercial fertilizer production. Such a facility today looks like a city. This is huge. This enabled a global population boom. Today, 3.5 billion people are alive because of the Haber-Bosch process. Out of the 250 people in this room, 100 of us would not be here if it was not for this single invention. Unfortunately, there is a problem. Today, the Haber-Bosch process starts with fossil fuels. You need to find a source of fossil fuels, then you need to transport it to your centralized facility, where you then take the hydrogen from the fossil fuels and the nitrogen from air, and then combine it to make ammonia and some CO2. And then this is a huge centralized facility, so you need to ship it halfway across the world before you reach the region of interest, and then you need to truck it or train it to get it out to the local distributor before finally reaching the farmer. This is a big problem. This is a huge, cumbersome supply chain that makes us dependent on geopolitical regions that maybe we don't want to be dependent on. And this emits as much CO2 as the entire aviation industry, 0.5 gigaton every year just from the production of one chemical, ammonia. Luckily, a century later, another scientist in the laboratory found a solution. Meet the nitrolyzer. This system takes air, water, and renewable electricity to produce green ammonia in a room temperature, low pressure system. And that means we can take this niturizer and put it in a container and place this container out at the field where it is needed. This gives the farmer resiliency against global supply chains and a green product. Farmers have been waiting for this solution for decades. And don't just take it from us. You can ask the 120 farmers we've talked with. So are you intrigued? If so, then join us to make ammonia green again. Thank you.